Hey guys, Sergeant Earth Walker Primitive. I'm here to discuss a little bit about some canteen maintenance and the Army issue, U.S. Army issue canteens, which are pretty popular. I carry them, a lot of people carry them. And shout out first to our friends at canteenshop.com. Thanks for your support, guys. What I want to talk about is a little bit mostly about maintenance of the lids and whatnot, and some corrective things that we can do when stuff goes bad. It's a little bit of equipment maintenance. As you can see, this one here is a perfectly good canteen. All right, it's got the attachment for the head, for the lid, for the cap. It's got the attachment here for the little rubber thing on top. We'll discuss that here in a minute. And it's got the little rubber nipple, which we'll also discuss that here in a minute. So that's a pretty good, perfectly fine canteen right there. Now, one of the problems that a lot of people will run into as far as cleaning these things is they'll do everything they have to inside. They'll let them dry, they'll wash them, they'll clean them. Warm soapy water usually does the trick. If it's a little bit dirtier, you can disinfect it with some bleach, or whatnot, and that usually does the trick. But one thing that a lot of people will forget or leave out is this little rubber top here. Alright, this does come off a little bit stiff when they're brand new. They do come off, and it's just a little rubber hose, or not hose, but a little rubber dripper, so to speak. But moisture does get up in there, okay? Moisture gets up in there, and it gets up on this O-ring and this plunger, and it'll hold up there. And if you have your canteen and it's wet, and you go and throw it into the garage or into your kit and leave it for months and months and months, you will get mildew and mold and some bacteria and funk growing up in there. And that needs to come out. It needs to come out and get washed. Now, what this is, as I said I was going to explain this. What this is designed, the whole purpose of this little cap here, and we'll easy to take it off. This is a military issue piece of equipment. One thing the military has to be prepared for is to operate and function in chemical contaminated areas in case of chemical warfare. And what this whole little contraption is, if you don't know, sorry if I'm boring if you do know, is for drinking out of your canteen during chemical warfare. What you do is there's a process of disinfecting your canteen so you don't contaminate yourself, but you pop this open, and there's a little hose. You can't see, there's a little metal push pin. It's a lot like the an air valve on a tire, okay? You push that push pin in the middle down, and it opens up. And you have this little hose on your gas mask that you plug into there. That pushes that pin down, opens it up, so you can put some pressure into it. And then, that was wet. And then, squirt out your canteen, or squirt water up through that hose into your mask. Okay, so that's the only purpose of that. So, to combat getting rid of, preventing all that mildew and stuff in there, you can just take this out and discard it. Alright, for civilian use, you don't need this in there. Leave that in there. This is airtight. And one thing that happens, as you see with this one, this little top here popped off. It broke. The little nipple that holds it on broke off. You don't even need that, okay? Because this is sealed. Nothing's going to get in there unless you actually push something down in there and push that pin. Or you could just take a piece of tape and tape over that and hold it down. Or if you lose it altogether, just tape it shut if you feel like it. Like you said, you're really not going to contaminate the inside of your canteen if that's left uncovered. But once again, this can just be taken off and thrown away. You really don't need it. However, there is a good use for this in first aid. And I have a video after this I'm going to do on using this for first aid. So it's a pretty interesting thing that we've actually used these for in the Army for first aid. But so if you lose this, or if this gets all nasty, don't feel bad or like you're doing your canteen any injustice if you just want to take it off and just not even leave it in there in your canteen, because you're not going to hurt anything. Now, one thing you don't want to lose in your canteen, though, is this rubber cover that holds it together. All it is a piece of plastic loop that loops around that, holds in the groove, and then the same on the canteen. This one's a little tougher to come off. But the unfortunate thing that happens, especially as they get old or if they get beat up, they snap and break. And then if they snap and break, your canteen cap can come off and you can lose it. One way you can fix that is just take, here's one that broke. I actually cut it just so I can demonstrate this. But let's say it broke. All I had to do was take a hot awl. I used a pocket knife with the awl, heated it up, poked it through the plastic, melted a hole through it, gutted a piece of 550 cord, ran that through one end, tied a knot, melted it down, ran it through the other end, tied it, and now it's not going anywhere, and that's on there. The only way I'm going to lose that cap is if this were to pop off, which can happen, or if that pops off, okay? Now, even these lids, after they get, these caps, when they get worn in, they'll fall off these quite a bit. You'll go to open up your canteen, you'll go to pull, and it'll pop right off. So one thing you can do before it even breaks is just discard that whole ring altogether. Just take it completely off. And then what I did here on this one is I took a piece of 550 cord, completely gutted it, okay? Somebody asked me in a video that when I talked about gutting 550 cord, and they asked why in the world would I ever want to gut 550 cord. If you were to take 550 cord that still had its guts inside of it and try to tie a knot this tight to cinch down on this, it wouldn't happen because it's thicker. It's round and it's thick, okay? You gut it and then you can work it down and tie a real tight knot. It's not going to slip or pull off of that little ridge because all that is ran underneath that little rib, alright, and cinched down and tied tight. And then on the lid, I'll show you, this is that little groove that plastic ring sits in. All I had to do is take that gutted 550 cord, run it around in that rib, and that's not going to come off. I cinched it down tight, tied a knot in it, a non-slip knot, cut it off, melted it down, and that's not coming off of there, okay? So that secures your canteen cup or your canteen cap on there, you know, in a secure way that it's not just going to pop off, because like I said, they do pop off of these very easy as they get old. When they're first brand new, and if you never take them off, you know, they stay on there pretty good, but just after, you know, I've had this one for a couple years and it just pops right off of there. So you could very easily, you know, lose your canteen cap that way. But that's a surefire way of securing your canteen cap, so that way you don't lose it. So once again, thank our friends at canteenshop.com for your support over the last couple of years, and hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. Sarge from Walker Primitive. Thank you.